Alright, gang. Listen here. First of all, hello, Vincent, my VOD watchers, and my lovely lurkers out there. I'm very excited for today. I'm very excited because you know why? I am a very, very big nerd out of a recent sort of interest of mine, philosophy. Specifically, logic and logical fallacies. And reasoning, all that kind of stuff. I've been reading a lot of like philosophy books and stuff like that, and texts and stuff. It's been so interesting and like legit. It's been so bad recently, or rather so good, depending on your perspective, that recently I have been thinking about becoming like some sort of teacher or professor, or like directing my content towards like philosophy sort of stuff, because I just find it so interesting and fulfilling. And that's what this game where we're playing is today, right here, okay? This game is called Fallacy Quiz. And Fallacy Quiz is exactly that. It's a quiz about logical fallacies. Now, I love psychology. Yes, psychology, philosophy, all that stuff, I love it. I very, very love it so much. But here's the thing. I need you guys to all lock in, because I am going to be playing along with this quiz. Corvo educational today? Yes, Therian, 100%. Also, hi, welcome in. Yes, so here's the thing. I'm going to be playing along with this game, and I want you guys to comment like your reasoning, your thought process on like the questions that I propose, because I'm going to give my reasonings as to like why I'm going to choose certain things, and I would love to have some back and forth with you guys. I would love to hear what you guys have to think. Just remember to be respectful and all that stuff, yeah? Okay. Well, I guess better like psych if I'm majoring in it, yeah. Yeah, we're going to get some educational stuff here today. Without further ado, I'm just going to go straight into the game, because I'm excited. Yeah, today is going to be a very chill, kind of cozy stream. Oh, it can totally go south. I'm in. Yeah, 100%. I can't wait things to go horribly wrong. Okay, here we go. Fallacy quiz. All right, here we go. Hopefully it's all loaded up. Okay, let me know how the audio is on for you guys as well. Welcome to... Well, hi, Pebbles. Hi, sweetie. Hi, baby. Ooh, big stretch. Yeah, you can hop up. You can do that. You want to do that? You ain't gonna hop up? What you gonna do? You gonna get my lap? There you go. That's my girl. Pebbles says hello. Yes, I'm petting Pebbles. Don't worry about it. Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, I gotta pet my cat, okay? Leave a like for Pebbles. Yeah, leave a like for Pebbles, okay? If you don't, I'll never forgive you. Okay, here's the deal. Alright, welcome to Fallacy Quiz. You know how sometimes people try to persuade you by using misleading or incorrect reasoning? That's what we call fallacies. By mastering Fallacy Quiz, you might get better at spotting them. Pebbles is the best cat. You know what? I 100% agree. Alright, continue. Each game for 3 rounds of 5 questions, you have to identify whether or not the presented statement is fallacious. There are formal fallacies that are easy to spot because they are explicitly invalid, but don't forget informal fallacies that seem logical, but what they imply is not. The faster and more accurately you choose, the higher score you score. Oh, interesting. As you play, you can unlock pages from the fallacy glossary and improve your critical thinking skills to be better equipped to avoid being manipulated by flawed reasoning. Ooh. So put on your thinking cap and get ready to challenge your mind in Fallacy Quiz. Okay. Okay, so my main focus is not going to be a high score necessarily, as for my first time around. My main thing is to just kind of like get the correct answer. Because I don't want to be like try to speed through this. I want to take my time and actually try to like think this through, if that makes sense. So if I don't get a high score, don't blame me, okay? Here we go. Lock in. We got easy, expert, and custom. I'll do easy mode. Round 1. I love the art style of this game, by the way. Ready? Yes, Sigma Corvo. Hey, Axel, how's it going? I think he threw away my banana, but I can't really prove it, so I guess I can't really accuse him of it. No, I would say that's fallacious logic. Nope, it was valid. Oh, well, we're off to a great start. Fantastic start. Oh, thank you so much for the thing, yeah. You have bad grades in physics. Maybe you should work more on this subject. Oh, that's valid. Okay, I gotta lock in. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't really have to put much thought into that. A survey conducted among our viewers showed that the Americans agree with the conclusion of our documentary. I would say fallacious? Biased generalization. Oh, okay. I see, Pebbles, not today, unfortunately. From your employer, it's either you do what you are asked or you're being... No, fallacious. Yeah, it's fallacious mainly due to the fact that, that's a false dichotomy. Yeah. Dilemma, yeah. When tossing a coin, it's equally likely to have 4 heads and a tail, and to have 5... Equally likely to have 4 heads and a tail. I'm confused by the wording of this. Valid? Okay. They could have phrased that a bit better, in my opinion. Round 2. Ready? Okay. This stop sign has been there since the road was built. We've never seen how people would drive about it. It might be worth conducting some tests to understand its actual impact on... I mean... I don't agree with this logic, but I guess it's valid. Yeah, I don't think there's a reason to put resources into that. What math does not work like? Yeah. I think you threw away a banana. Prove me you did it, or you'll have to pay me back. Fallacious. Yeah. Shifting of the burden of the proof. What is the definition of this? Oh god. When your interlocutor asserts saying something, they must approve it. They say that they are the burden, having the burden of proof. If they're being dishonest, they can reverse the burden of proof. Insert something that has to be. Don't fall into this trap. You start to attempt to prove them wrong. You're implying that their claim is legitimate without any argument. Oh. You explain that the burden of proof is on them, not you. Interesting. That makes sense. Yeah, the person making the accusation, in short, so the person making the accusation has to prove it. Make it more quietly? Sure. There we go. People who think we should sort our trash have good arguments on the subject. I can give you some if you want. Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Check this out. It's labeled new recipe, but since I don't know what they're changed, it's hard to say if it's better than before. That's fallacious. Just because you can't understand it doesn't mean it's wrong. What? How's that incorrect? Or I guess you're just not giving me an explanation at all. Okay. They said there was a high chance of rain for today, so if you don't take your umbrella, you could end up wet. I mean, that's valid. Round 3. Okay, I think I'm doing pretty decent, considering I'm not really that well versed into the realm of logical fallacies, despite me being... Oh. You're saying people can be smart without having gone to school? So you're basically saying, no, fallacious. Yeah, straw man. I've been there so many times. I didn't even need to see. Let me actually do this, because I see this people so many, fall for this so many times. Your interlocutor will respond to a twisted version of your argument that you never said. Yes. So what you're basically saying... They will choose a position that appears to be close to yours, but that is much easier to discredit, and then respond to it. You might be tempted to continue the conversation or do so accidentally, but you would end up defending a weak position, so no, interrupt them as soon as they misrepresent your argument and set the record straight by clearly restating your position. Yeah, strawmans are so, ugh. We call it don't put words where we have. XD. Yes, our burgers are indeed high in calories, but the vegetable portion is much larger in our new recipe. Oh, valid? What? Red herring? Hold on, let's see, what is this all about? Instead of continuing the debate, answering questions, or responding to your arguments, the person tries to completely derail the discussion by introducing a new element. Well, how am I supposed to answer that if I didn't have the contextual information that was a new element of the conversation? That was just a singular line for me to look at. How was I supposed to completely, deter or, discern that? That seems a little silly. To mislead you, you need to practice spotting these red herrings. You can address it later in the debate, but not in the moment. It's best to tell them it has nothing to do with the discussion and bring things back to where you were by repeating your last question or argument. For example, don't let the subject change. Okay. Okay, Pebbles, move, baby. Move, baby. Baby, move. Look, they have a full building with a lobby and receptionist like a big successful company. They must be so... No. Parts of the assumption about burgers do not have anything to do with each other. Interesting. No pain, no gain, fallacious. Destroying the exception. Hold on, what's this? What is this? I'm curious. This is new to me. This one consists of taking a general rule or statistic and applying it systematically. You often hear people say everyone instead of most people. Within an argument, they can lead to major errors, such as essentializing sociological statistics, for example. Providing counterexamples and exceptions will help you question this hasty generalization. I see, and that goes into bias generalization as well. Oh, that's so fascinating. I love that. Interesting. Let's see, what does this say? Fortunately, you have read plenty of books on the matter, so I'm sure someone as knowledgeable as you... No, fallacious. With that example, it's stressed at least appeal to flattery. Oh, yes. Please do appeal to my flattery, good chat. This one is quite crude, but we are often taken in by it. An argument will seem more convincing when it is warmed in compliments, even if the argument is false. Keep your guard up and think about what is being said when a compliment seems to come from nowhere. Only consider the elements that are relevant to the subject at hand. When you detected this Trojan horse, you can still pretend to politely accept the compliment before moving on. I mean, this one isn't too bad. I mean, it doesn't show like it's like malicious in nature. Results! Did I pass? Easy mode, right answers. Wrong. Yeah, it's not too shabby. Yeah. I want to try to get a perfect score. Okay, let's see. Ready? All right, here we go. Let's see. Clean sweep. Beating down people are selfish, so this charity? No. Hasty generalization. Appeal to motive. Wait, what? How is that not a generalization? Your counterpart will pretend you have a specific intention without proving it. If you truly have that intention, it could damage your credibility and raise questions about your honesty. The mere suggestion of such an intention, even without proving, could create suspicion in you. Okay. In this case, it may be difficult, if not impossible, to prove that you don't have this intention. Generally, pointing out that they're using appeal to motive is enough to dispel the accusation. Is that true? In Discord server of our friends, we had so much debates, used almost all fallacy tactics, and had debates on almost every topic, so it's all familiar to me. It's so interesting. It's like, we're gonna have this kind of stuff in, like, our new Discord. So I kind of like wanted to familiarize myself with some of this stuff. It's kind of like this, like kind of like a beta test to see how you guys would feel about it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's very interesting because generally, how would you best be appealing to motive? Will you just be like, oh, say, hey, this is like you were just assuming my intent here. You have no actual proof to showcase that this is your intent. But even then, like as I said before, it would still be incredibly difficult to, I guess, quote unquote, dispel that sort of appeal. Ooh, hello, Beheaded. Hi, welcome. Don't put my words in my mouth again. Yeah, pretty much. I still don't understand how this is not like also a generalization, in a sense. I guess since they are not technically generalizing about like the overall like group or a specific group, but rather your logic itself. I guess that's why it's not a generalization. That's what I would assume. Also, we're playing Fallacy Quiz, Beheaded. If you like philosophy and little Fallacy quizzes here, time for you to learn. We're doing education now. That's very interesting. Just because we've never done it doesn't mean it's never impossible. That's true. That one was valid. I think there was something in my philosophy class that was related to that. Something about a monk? You want to end world hunger? Oh, please. When do you plan on doing that? Fallacious. Yeah. Okay. Ridicule. Yeah. Let me just see what this reads. Yeah. People distorting and exaggerating your statements to make them... You know, actually, this might be very interesting to keep in mind because I often see content creators in this space, whenever they talk about a subject, fall into this sort of fallacy, even if I would argue they are doing it like in a morally good place, right? Like, I often see content creators do like exposés or like covering different topics of like people who are either trying to like scam people or stuff like that, and they often just ridicule them instead of breaking it down like what they're doing and stuff like that. They just make fun of like the overall absurdity of it all, which I don't think is necessarily a immoral thing to do. I think it's very understandable. But I think that in order to best strengthen our argument in terms of like exposing other people and the like, we do have to take like a more logical perspective from it and not just do complete ridicule, you know what I mean? I love how this game has fallacy itself, having examples of particular themes to show them in particular light. That is very true, yeah. And it also goes into something that I heard a while back, and it said that even though a statement may be fallacious, the conclusion that they, you know, use and like the stuff they use in order to make said conclusion, it may not be inherently false. You know what I mean? So basically, in short, fallacies are like megachurches. Good to know, yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Fallacy searches are basically like incorrect or invalid reasoning to reach a certain conclusion. That's what it said beforehand, before you got in. Hey, Nicholas, how's it going? Welcome in. Welcome in. We are currently learning about logical fallacies and the like. And we're having a little bit of a fun here. We got into like the appeal to ridicule kind of thing, and it's so fun. I can say with certainty that I can see through opinions of game developers on certain things. I see. Alright, let's see what we got. They said there was a high chance for, so if you don't take, that is valid. Appeal to probability. What? Your interlocutor will present something. I've never heard of this term before. Interlocutor. I really wish this game had like that kind of like definition, stuff like that. So I've been active on your channel in like 9 months. No worries, it's totally fine. I'm glad that you came back. It's not even a fallacy, it's just not logical. Oh. Something that is likely to happen or conclude or imply that it would happen inevitably or the contrary. The fact that there is a 1 in 100 chance that something will happen does not mean that after 100 times it will happen for sure. You can remind them that something likely can never happen, and that something unlikely is going to happen. Maybe I'll need to reanalyze the wording of that question, but from the way it was phrased, it seemed to be going along the lines of, hey, this thing could happen, it is best to prepare for it. It didn't inherently say, and again, I may be misremembering what it actually said. It didn't say like, hey, you need to take an umbrella or else you will get wet. It just said that it was probable. You know what I mean? Maybe I just need to reread that. Okay. Let's see. I've never put diced tomatoes in guacamole before, but we could try it. I mean, that's valid, yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you, physically stopping you from, like, not doing that. These spoiled brats... yeah, delicious, yeah. Why put tomatoes in guacamole? Yeah, appeal to spite. That's a new one. I've never heard of that. What is this? Isn't tomato and guacamole very frequent, like, especially for pico de gallo? Because, like, if you're doing pico de gallo, then yeah, the tomato's like a very frequent and very regular recipe in that. Ingredient, sorry. Will try to attack you personally by mentioning things that could harm your reputation, such as insults, ad hominems. Yes, very frequent. Like, I've seen that exact same argument so many times from, like, older professors at my college. Ugh. Just older people in general, so many times. So the goal is to either get the audience to turn their back on you before they even consider whether you're right or not, or to escalate the exchange to a quarrel to avoid being challenged on their position. That is very true. It's very similar to a straw man, in that regard at least. This one is quite complicated to handle. Stooping to their level by responding is to be avoided. Try to ignore these comments so as not to lose sight of the debate. Yeah, just let them... People don't really comprehend the strength of just letting people talk. Because yes, while these sort of insults and ad hominems can be very effective in terms of like potentially convincing the audience to not take your side or consider what you're saying, it is also equally, and I would argue potentially even more effective, to just let the person yap and try to get you down to their level. Because people generally are not as stupid as the people who use these sort of tactics believe they are. Like whenever you see somebody, and just like do like a simple little analysis whenever your day-to-day life, when you see somebody doing these things towards another person, it's very hard to, for me at least, to take their side or to listen to them, because the whole time I'm thinking, why are they being such an asshole right here? Like, what is the point of being so disrespectful? Can they really not have like a simple-minded debate? So yeah, just taking like acting as if like their things are genuine and not even really acknowledging that there is a lot of strength to be had there. I know it's very tempting to reply to these sort of things, but in the end, that's not the best thing to do in the world. Now I understand that could be a little asshole because I can use fallacy as a debate tactic, and I did on several occasions. Yeah. Most people get less sleep than what's recommended. I'm impressed that you're able to maintain such a healthy sleep schedule. Fallacious? Valid. Why is that? Can you explain? Or not, I guess. Okay. Who needs to explain? Beautiful people generally find partners. I'm quite beautifully. No. No. Destroying the exception. Yeah, we've seen that one before. Appealing to incompetence of fallacy or valid argument. Is appealing to incompetence a fallacy or valid argument, though? Can you elaborate on that? I'm interested to see, like, I'm a little bit confused as to, like, what you're saying there, but I'm very curious as to what you could say. I'm gonna answer the next question while you do that. I've ordered twice, and twice I've received a damaged packing. Never ordering anything online again. Even though that's very understandable, the implication there is false. AC generalization. Yep. You think people should stop drinking? You say you stopped drinking for 2 years and 7 months. Oh wow, you're counting the days literally. Fallacious. Yeah, they're just being an asshole. Appeal to ridicule. Yeah. Round 3. Ready? Hold on. My recent debate with my friend, he said that I played bad RPG games. I said that he does not know crap about RPGs because he played 3 RPGs in his whole life, which is almost true. Valid? That doesn't necessarily seem criticizing his incompetence in it. It's really just criticizing the lack of experience in his field. So I would say that that is invalid because of the fact that just because he has not played enough RPGs for you to be satisfied with it does not mean that his criticisms with certain elements within RPG games are invalid or unsound or not valid. You know what I mean? I would say that would be an invalid assumption, but I will say that there is some legitimacy to the point that he may not actually be experienced enough or may not have given enough credit or time or investment towards those RPG games to have a sound experience or assumption about how RPGs actually function. And also, it really just like what it comes down to is like, that's a matter of subjectivity. That's just a matter of personal taste. There's really no kind of grounds to say, actually, your opinion about this work of art is wrong. Yeah, you can't like this because I don't like it. Like, that's kind of like, the argument in of itself from both sides, I would argue, would be fallacious in nature, if that makes sense. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about that. There's unemployment, so young people have more difficulty finding jobs. No. No, that was invalid? Why would that be? Would it be because, so low unemployment, young people may have difficulty finding a job? I feel like I feel like that's hard for me to say. Like, I really do wish it would tell me like what I got wrong, because it's hard for me to be like, oh, I got it wrong. How do I learn from that? It's just be like, nope, try again. I'm like, okay. That sucks. They pointed to new minister, but that doesn't mean that things will necessarily change. Valid. Yes. Can you tell me why I'm right? No? Okay. If we let them build this skate park, our neighborhood will never be the same. Fallacious. Appeal to fear. Let me see what this is, because that's a new one. I think that's a little fallacy, but still he does not have enough experience to say if a game I play is good enough. He puts his arguments trying to be objective to debate a game. Yes, that is indeed true. I will say that. Also, if he has not played the actual game in question, then his sort of like statements, regardless of where they stand on it, are kind of invalid in a way, because he himself has not experienced that work of art in any sort of way himself, so he can't really draw any sort of sensible conclusions. He did not, LOL, yeah. He can't say that it's a bad game if he hasn't even played it. Yeah. You have a fear. Someone will try to convince you of something by showing how its opposite would lead to what you fear, but this fear is not necessarily justified. So they can persuade you without being right. If you don't clean your room, the wolf will come and eat you. When in doubt, it's maybe useful to ask yourself if the fear is justified, but this is often difficult to do alone. Oh, I'm late. Hello, Coley. Hi, how's it going? Welcome on in. We are currently doing a fallacy quiz, and you're not late at all. We're still like in the easy mode, like on the first round. So it's not like too far in at all. And we're currently like learning about like logical fallacies and like debating like what is fallacious and what is invalid in terms of like what is sound reasoning and not. And because this is like a philosophical kind of debate, because I love this stuff. I found this so interesting to me. But how you doing? Welcome on in. Feel free to throw your thoughts and opinions and answers down in the comments. Humans are mortal and I am human. Therefore, I am mortal. Huh. Humans are mortals and I am human. Therefore, I am mortal. I mean, I would say that's valid, but at the same time, I could see an argument of saying, you know, going back to like the appeal of probability, even though like, yes, all humans have been mortal thus far, that in of itself doesn't mean that you, even though you are a human, will be mortal. I'm actually gonna say fallacious. No, valid, okay. I mean, I guess if it's probable enough, there's no appeal to probability fallacy there. While turning down their plate of spinach, I know it's healthy, I just don't like it. I mean, that's fair, yeah. That's just personal taste. Results! Well, okay then. It does not contradict until we have a solid way of immortality. It's valid. I see. Fair enough, fair enough. Should I try this one again, or should I try, yeah, check quiz questions. Let's see, what is this about? We go to probability. Okay. Most people, I was surprised that you're able to maintain. I would, like, understand. I would like to see, like, why it's valid, instead of, like, it just saying, yeah, it's valid. Because thinking otherwise is appeal to probability. Ah, I see, I see. Is it appeal to probability or just consideration of it? Because it's not necessarily, well, I guess it could in a way, like, if you're arguing for it, you are appealing it to it in some way. Like, consideration, is consideration the same as appealing? I would say no. I think that consideration and appeals are two separate things. Because one, you're just taking into account. Two, you're pushing it forward on its account. Huh. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Back to menu. Start game? Well, how do I unlock expert mode? I just gotta keep going until I get like a clean sweep. Even if I played the lottery my whole life, I'm not necessarily going to win. That is valid. Maybe it is consideration, but still, saying that you are mortal because all people are mortal because they are mortal is valid to me. That's fair. I just got out of the hairdresser, and I think they did a really bad job. I think I can ask them for a refund. I mean, that's valid, yeah. That's just like your opinion, man. I know that's a fallacy, shut up. Looks like we've been doing this for 2 generations. Maybe it's time to mix things up. Yeah, you know what? That's valid.
Successful. Congratulations, you won.
It's true. Kant did say that. The question is whether if it's still valid today. Valid. Just because an ancient philosopher said something does not mean that they are like infallible. You know, there have been many philosophers that we still read various works upon in our time that have said completely ridiculous things. Okay. Yeah, just because they had some just because one person makes a lot of good points doesn't mean that everything that they say is a good point. My uncle died in a plane crash, but I've been looking at the statistics and it's still a safe means of transportation. Valid. Perfect round bonus. Wow! Round 2. Yes, of course. Betting my money if he said we did it all the time, so it's fitting to make the same here. Yeah, will be marked as a fallacy. Yeah. Let me go. Yeah, actually, you know what's not fallacious at all? The logical statement of saying every gambler quits right before they win. That's totally not a fallacy. I can definitely make it back. I can make it back, I promise. I was munching on some roasted salt and almonds, and I then popped one into my mouth. A horrible bitter taste that made me want to spit it out. It was gross. That's why almonds are the worst nuts. Fallacious, yeah. Misleading vividness? What is this all about? What is this about? Insisting on presenting a rare case in great detail can be misleading. The more details are given, the more important and intense the example can seem. It is necessary to take a step back to evaluate this case with as much attachment from any other case, putting this case into perspective by asking for information about its frequency and real consequences enables us to return to a rational discussion. That's interesting, but I do have a question about it. There are cases or situations of where that even though, let's say 9 times out of 10, you had a really good experience at this place, but that one time was so terrible that it just really was it had a very large negative impact. Like, let's look at the plane thing, for example. 9 times out of 10, they were very safe in terms of transportation. But that one time, there was a plane crash and a family member or someone that you care about, or just people in general, died. Now, I don't think, how would you avoid misleading vividness while also at the same time not underrepresenting the impact of that situation? Because in those kind of like life and death scenarios, you can't really detach yourself too much from it, because if you do, you may be doing those who have fallen victim to said situation a disservice and could potentially be endangering future people. Which I know that may be an appeal to probability, but that is something that we do have to consider, in my opinion, when it comes to the realm of personal safety. Is putting your opinions in a game of that kind as example fallacy or not? Could you elaborate? I'm gonna get some water. Yeah, I'm very interested. I really do wish zoom out. Oh, so if you zoom out, you can see this thing. Okay. Is putting your opinions in a game of that kind as example of fallacy or not? I don't think the presence of one's opinion in this is necessarily fallacious. Because your opinion can be fueled by logic. And I would say that if your opinion is fueled by sound logic and stuff like that, even though it is like one's opinion, it's not necessarily fallacious. That would be my perspective on it. Let's see what this is. If we ban people from carrying a knife in the streets, the next step is going to be that we... fallacious, yeah. Slippery slope. I see this one all the time. Let's read it here for all of you guys. Oftentimes, you'll be defending arguments that change the status quo, and your interlocutor will respond by warning that this change could start a vicious cycle. You want to reduce the work week by 2 hours. If you go down by that route, we'll end up working only 1 day a week. Yeah, exactly. There's no evidence that indicates that the scenario that they are describing is actually going to occur when we're talking about the situation at hand. You can either ask them to explain how what you propose would lead to those consequences, or remind them that this fear could be applied to any change, and then nothing could ever be changed again. Exactly. Very good way of putting it. As I said, I think that developer put their opinions on certain topics as examples, like marking stuff that examples say as fallacy because you disagree with that opinion. That is fair. That is fair. I do think that is a valid concern to have. I really would like if the developer could elaborate on some of this, because it seems like, and I feel like this is just the, going into the realm of game design and making a game like this, you have to simplify it to some point, and you have to simplify it in a way that will make sense to people who are coming into it from, the perspective of not knowing anything about this stuff, in a way that's understandable. And I feel that if you do that, like as we can see in this case, it is very likely that you could be seen as like interjecting your personal opinion, because of the fact that you're interjecting your personal touch into it in order to make it more palatable and easier to access, if that makes sense. Potentially. Let's see. let's go over to the next question. Alright, I don't agree with the big movie critics. I like this movie, it was a good time. That's valid, yeah. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that logic at all. It's 9 PM, it's time to go to bed. Why? Well, because you wake up early tomorrow and it's important to have enough sleep. I mean, valid. Yeah. I'll also be with our previous high scorer. Okay. The stop sign has been there since the road was built. We've never seen how people would drive around it. It says, it could be smoother, fallacious. Appeal to ignorance. Let's see what this is. For example, Slippery Slope article can look like that it is agitating for reducing the work week because opposite logic put in a fallacy light. Isn't it a straw man, basically? Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But you could be saying that because of the fact that the developer used that specific example in terms of the reducing the work week argument, they could hold one opinion on that argument and therefore potentially be presenting a straw man or having some fallacy. If that is what you're saying, I don't believe your argument stands. Because if we are going on to the perspective of interjecting these sort of debates or kind of points is going to present some sort of fallacious argument, then I don't think it would be safe to say that, because that would inherently imply in some fashion that every sort of point/argument presented by either side, by either myself, you, or the developer, would be inherently fallacious. If that makes sense. My stream's buffering so much traveling right now, I can't keep up. I'm just gonna listen. No worries, Coley. That's totally fine. There's always the VOD. There's always the VOD, Coley. Please be safe in your travels. Yeah, I don't think the, to summarize, I don't think the inclusion of that example is necessarily a fallacy, but I do think there is some validity in the concern that the developer here may have taken not necessarily the most optimal route in terms of how they present and explain what is valid and invalid reasoning. Like, for example, what I was talking about earlier, like I was saying, like, oh, hey, how did I get this right? It just wouldn't explain it in some cases. And like, oh, hey, how did I get this wrong? And it just wouldn't explain it. Like, I would love to get some further context to, you know, actually learn. That'd be nice. Round 3. We're ready. I'm really interested in buying this item from you, but the price of $10 a bit out of my budget. Would be willing to consider a low price, or is always fixed. I mean, that's valid. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking that. That's a normal conversation. What would you rather have, a decent salary or... That's just a question. How's that a fallacy? It's not even an argument, it's a question. Oh. Yeah, it's like, huh? What? Game shit posting here, hear me out. What if it's just like either one's wrong and they just troll us? What if they just be like, ha, joke's on you. This was just a joke. Here's the real question. I mean, I feel like in order to answer this question, you would have to inherently assume a position of the person asking it, but I don't really have any contextual information to make a conclusion about that. Like, not even just like, I don't have anything. Hear me out. What do you got? What do you got, Therian? What do you got? If statement used as argument, it is fallacy. If it's neutral question, it does not contradict logic. Interesting. If a statement is used as an argument, it's fallacy. If it's a neutral question, it does not contradict logic. My question to you should be, how would you be able to logically discern what is an if statement and what is a neutral question? Specifically the neutral question part. Because people can phrase things in a way that seem neutral, or like via the Socratic method, but behind those words, they actually do have an agenda or are actually building up to something. How would you discern that? also, what the, decent salary or fulfilling job. Wait, false dichotomy. Yeah, false dilemma. Yeah. You can. It doesn't mean you have to have one or the other. Oh, I get it now. So to explain like the previous one, that was a false dilemma fallacy. It was asking, would you rather have a fulfilling job or a decent salary? And the reason why that question was sort of invalid is because it inherently implied that you can only have one or the other, which is absolutely untrue. You can have you can still have a good salary while still having a fulfilling job. That's the reason why it was fallacious. I've read a lot of books, but isn't there seeing what you say is correct? Valid. Yep. That statement is not necessarily used as false dilemma. It could be a question about your values. That is also true. That is also true, but I also see like the kind of like point going for like, oh hey, this could be a false dilemma. I feel like both of those can be true, and I feel like it's not like like proposing something. It's just using it as like a very. This is a bad example, IMO. Yeah, I can see why you would say that. You prefer bananas, but I prefer carrots. We can both have our own preferences, and that's okay. Fallacious. Valid. What? Why? I thought that was relativity. What the f- I would like you to explain, game. I came here to learn. Let me learn. Because context is missing and context is needed here. Exactly. It's also at the same time, like going back to what I was saying like earlier, I'm guessing that this game was marketed towards people who have like no sort of like knowledge about that stuff, and info dumping God knows how much context into the situation may deter some people. Hopefully we'll see that in like the expert mode of this game, because we gotta remember this is like easy mode, so it may like up the difficulty. Well, it was game said that your taste holds the same weight as other tastes. Yeah. Because, like, I thought that would be the matter of, like, the relativity fallacy. Or maybe that was just, like, the incorrect assumption on my part. Maybe I didn't read it right. Me not voting in this election is equivalent to not taking part in competition. As such, I cannot be held accountable for the assault. Fallacious. False equivalency. Let's see what this says. Hi, Zoe. Hi. Welcome in. We are learning about logical fallacies and philosophy. And honestly, we're having a very good time, a very cozy time, so feel free to lurk around. And also, feel free to answer some questions of yourself, or ask questions of yourself as well. This is kind of like a back and forth conversation that I'm having with you guys. And we're learning about stuff like misleading vividness, as you can see over there, and false equivalency, which we just learned. A person will point out connections between two things, then claim the properties of one are also the properties of another. The mere mention of these connections makes it seem like they're justifying and attributing the properties. The beautiful house has a pool, mine also has a pool, so we have two beautiful houses. Oh. Don't deny the connections if they are factual. Focus on the fact that from these connections, their conclusions do not follow. Interesting. Fascinating. Okay. Oh, that was it. Oops. Results. I think I missed like 2 or 3 questions, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I missed only 1. Okay. New best. Not too shabby. Congrats, you've just unlocked expert mode. In this new mode, you will be asked to choose the name of the rhetorical fallacy from 4 options. If you have a hard time choosing which is which, you can take a look to the fallacy glossary or train by playing easy mode again. Oh, okay. So now it gets a little bit interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Which one did I miss? Oh, you prefer bananas? I prefer carrots. We could both have. Oh, I completely read that wrong. Yep, that's 100% on me. I should have read that a little bit better. I thought it said something else entirely. I could have got a clean sweep. I could have got like a clean sweep if that was the case. That's unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. I want to stop in to say hi. Oh, it's very nice to see you again, Zoe. I thought you pressed fallacy on easy questions on purpose. Yeah. Like, that was such like an easy question in retrospect. I just read it entirely wrong. Yeah. Oopsie. My bad. But yeah, honestly, for my 3rd time through, it's not too shabby. I got to go have fun. No worries, Zoe. I hope will see you again soon. And don't feel free to check out the VOD as well. All right, let's go back to menu. Let me try expert mode. Oh, custom. We'll check out custom mode in just later. Expert. Round 1. What do we have here? Ready? Not really, but okay. Let's give it a shot. Oh, valid fallacy. Wait, hold on. Let's see. There are great ingredients in it. Fallacy of composition? Yes. Hold on, what's this about? I've never heard of this before. This consists in claiming something possesses a property just because a part of it does. For example, metal cannot fly. This metal airplane won't take off. Some properties do not depend on the... Sorry, I got hiccups. Where's my water? Oh no, I have no water. I got hiccups. This game is giving me hiccups. It's making me think too much. Let's see here. Individual parts of a home, but rather from coming together of these parts to form a whole. These properties are said to be emergent. Even though it is made of metal, the plane can't fly. The interlocutor must prove that a part's property remains a property of the whole. They cannot just assert it. It's the opposite of fallacy of division. I don't think we've encountered fallacy of division, though. Not yet, at least. Alright, let's see what we got. What's the next one? We're preventing dementia with that amount of thinking, yeah. Just look at who follows this guy on their social networks. Just from that, I know no one should talk to them. Guild by association. Yes, I am so intimately aware of that one. Oh my god. You have no idea how many times I have seen that singular point. Oh my god, hold on. Let's go over here. You people need to learn what this means. You all need to learn what this means. A person will point out connections you may have with groups or people perceived negatively. The mere mention of these connections gives the impression that you are close to these groups or individuals. You've agreed with reactionary on this point. You must be reactionary. Or, oh, you follow this person. You must believe what they believe. Well, it's an interesting one. I have elaboration on that, yeah. Don't try to deny the connections if they are real. Focus on the fact that from these connections, their conclusions do not follow. Yes, yes. Like, I see it so many times. It's like, oh, you follow this person. You must support them. Or, oh, you use this service. Then you must support them, you know, doing bad things and stuff like that. It's like, no, that's not true at all. That's 100% not true. Let's see. The weather wasn't good during my days off, and now it's the weekend and it's cloudy again. Always the same thing. The weather is bad every day I'm not working. Basic generalization? Which is the definition? How does this apply? Mirrored situation. A person attracts like a magnet particular kind of people. It says at least something about him. That is true. I would say that's not necessarily association, but rather cultivation. Because in that particular instance, the person that is attracting in people is not doing so by necessarily associating with other people. It is through, most likely, I would assume, most likely, various deliberate actions on their part or various subconscious, like, sort of acts that they partake in that attract various people towards them, whether it be positive or negative. That would be my opinion on that. Your interlocutor might make it seem like you come to a conclusion based on a limited sample. Oh, yes, I recall this. Okay, so that makes sense in terms of that contextual example. Yeah. Let me see here. For a survey, people were called at their landline phones during the middle of the day, asked about their employment situation this year. The number of unemployed people has skyrocketed according to the study's results. Appeal to authority. Would it be valid or appeal to authority? Valid? Bias generalization. Oh, because of the survey methods, isn't it? Let's see here. This one involves a generalization based on a sample that is not representative. Yes, because of, the survey methods. I should have accounted for that because the people that typically answer landline phones are typically associated with a particular demographic, that being older people who may not be in a job or like retirees and stuff like that. So they're not technically employed. So they would not represent the whole. That makes sense. For example, in an online survey, yep, that's on me. The resemblance with a valid study here can be quite deceptive. The sample size may be large enough and the study may seem rigorous. What's fallacious is the choice of the set about which conclusions are drawn. Yep, like I said, the survey method. Make sure the sample is representative of the set about which conclusions are claimed. Yes. me see. In more elaboration on that topic, if a person following other persons with particular political views, for example, and who uses their social network to post usually that political viewers, it says, yeah, if they're like posting like the same exact stuff of like the person in question, then I think it's not necessarily a hasty generalization. I think that, or like a fallacious assumption about like guilt by association. Like if they're stating like the exact same things as a person that they're following, then I think it is fair to conclude they believe in what they're saying and what that other person is saying. Let me see here. You heard me say we should check everyone's backpack when leaving the store, and now you're accusing me of not respecting people's privacy. But it's just a quick glance, and I don't know what this even means. I mean, for process of elimination, I figured that was going to be the correct option, but I genuinely don't know what this means. Malt and Bailey vows? For example, if you're following war journalists, I could assume that you at least have interest in some news of war. That is true. Mont and Bailey is a medieval structure where an exposed village is located near a tower on top of a mound and provides an advantage in case of attack. In this analogy, the speaker will present a weak argument, the village. When you try to debate it, they'll modify their argument to make it seem less controversial and more solid. The tower. Oh. Where the strawman modifies the opposing argument to make it more attackable, here it's their own argument that is modified, so it's like a reverse strawman. Oh, I see. It's misrepresenting their own argument. Isn't that similar to another fallacy? Slope? No. Oh, we still have so many. Build a motive? Oh, there. How many more fallacies? Jesus, there's a lot. There's a lot more than I thought. Round 2. Okay, let's see. That may be true according to you, but not to me. Relativist. Yeah, there we go. let's peep this one. Yeah, okay, so without even reading it, I'm not looking at the screen, I'm not gonna look at the screen, okay? I'm not even looking. But I'm going to say what I believe the relative fallacy is. What I believe it is that if a person is taking the position of, well, that's just your opinion, or you believe that, but I believe in something else, therefore I'm right, is inherently implying that this sort of logic that is being debated here is just a matter of relativity, and the conclusions are all relative. If that's true, then there is no true conclusion there. It's a fallacious way of thinking because it doesn't really go any closer to truth, if that makes sense. That's my interpretation of it. Let's see if it's true. After a while, if someone has no more arguments left, they may say something like, you have your way of thinking, I have mine, or even that's your version of things, and I have my version of things. But in a rational discussion, if you have two different ways of logically reasoning, then at least one of them is invalid. Likewise, if your two versions of things are not the same, at least one of them is false. This tactic just sabotages the debate and prevents critical thinking. You can ask them to explain by what magic the two reasonings can be simultaneously valid. That is true. Yeah, explain how both can be valid. That's a very interesting point. I never thought of it that way. Let's see, you say rats are harmless as pets. I think they have no business being in the house because they're pets. We can both be right with our own way of thinking. I mean, technically, they can be pests. Huh. What is the fallacy here? Valid, Monte Ballet. Division? No? Relativism? Okay, how would that apply here? Zoom out. Say rats are harmless as pests. I think they have no business being in a house. Oh yeah, it is relative. We can both be right. Yes, we can both be right. That should be the giveaway for relativism. Yep, 100% right. That should have been the dead giveaway there. That's on me. Let's see here. Check this out. It's labeled new recipe. It's nice that they approve their product. Appeal to novelty, bias generalization. Biased? Because you're saying appeal to novelty. What? It's brand new, it just came out. Not necessarily. By focusing your attention on the novelty aspect, Oh, novelty. I had a very different interpretation of what novelty meant. How's relatability a fallacy? I couldn't understand that. In terms of like relatability or relativity. Remain skeptical and do not hesitate to ask, what specifically makes this new thing better? Oh, yeah. Relativity, sorry. So, in terms of them saying, like, oh, like, in the previous example, they said, one person was, like, saying, oh, you think that these rats are, like, okay to have as pets. I think that they're, like, yeah, English. Yeah, let me get some water. I have no water. Okay. So, in the previous question, that person was saying, you believe that rats can be pets. I believe that they are pets, like rodents and stuff like that, should be okay to have. And then the second line of that question was saying, oh, we can both be right. And it goes over to the relativity thing where it said explicitly something along the lines of, if we can both be, how can we both be logically correct here, if that makes sense? Like, how can the logic of, like, them being both pets and pests stand? Yeah, I still don't understand the novelty that much. There's been a transport strike. The newspapers reported it on all the people it affected, and TV shows frustrated looking bystanders. You can't deny the public is against this motive. No, Spotlight. Let's beat this. Yeah, that's not necessarily an accurate reflection of everyone. This is using the false impression the media gives of a category of people or things as if it were true. To counteract this, remind your interlocutor that more media coverage does not make something more valid, and explain that we cannot generalize from biased samples. That is true. Just because somebody covers something, a lot, or just because something is getting a lot more coverage does not mean the impression that we get from that is inherently logical or valid. Let's see what we got here. You are so pretty. I'm sure they'll help me carry this thing. That'd be able to flatter. Yeah. It would definitely work on me, though. 100% would work on me. Let's see what we got. With all this horrible stuff happening that they're showing on the news, I really think you should stop going out. Spotlight. Yeah, because in the media were specifically referring to the crime aspect. It doesn't mean that just because there was like a few crimes on TV, does that mean that I am inherently unsafe going outside and that crime will happen to me. It is still something to consider, considering that is something that could affect my personal safety. But again, just because somebody highlights a lot of crime going on doesn't mean that it's going to automatically happen to me. But again, as I said, still something to consider for personal safety reasons. You handed in your homework, but your notebook is in terrible condition. I don't waste my time looking at each page, and you'll get a bad grade. Ridicule? How division? What? How is division? It's consistent claiming that a part of something possesses just because the whole properties. Oh! So the fallacy is that just because this person assumed that my book was in poor condition, that my assignment that I submitted was of the reflective quality. So, okay. Yeah, I should have seen that one coming. Yeah. That's on me. Let's see what we got. You don't want any cake? Okay, then I won't get you anything. I mean, valid. Yeah, that's fair. I don't see anything wrong with that. You don't want cake? Fine, I'm gonna shove it down your guzzlet. You better like it. Oh, you want to know if the car is old? Well, actually, the transmission has just been changed. Red herring? Yay! Let me refamiliarize myself with what was red herring about. Instead of continuing the debate or answering questions, completely derail the conversation, mislead you, read herrings. Ah, I see. So instead of actually answering the question about whether the car was new, they just shifted the conversation over to talking about the transmission of the vehicle instead of the age of the vehicle or even the parts inside it. Interesting. Let's see what we have now. You say that protesters shouldn't damage schools. That's real cool for all the other buildings. Thanks. What? A hot hand? Jumping to conclusions? What is this about? This is the new one. Someone who doesn't have all the necessary elements to conclude on a subject may invent elements without proof in order to reach the desired conclusion. They're late. They really should get a move on. I'm a little bit confused at this. We don't know why they are late, but we will assume it's their fault and conclude that it's due to laziness. Oh, I see. In this case, it is best to make explicit what is implied and ask for proof. So you think it's their fault. Why? Oh. That makes sense. Yeah, I should have seen that. Yeah, 100%. Alright, let's go. Oh, that was the last one. Oops. I don't think I did that good. I think I like 5 to 8 wrong. Oh, I got 5. Only 5. New best? Let me see. Check the quiz questions. What did I get wrong again? Okay, so first one I got wrong. For a survey, people were called at their landline phones. Yeah, because of the survey method. It was a biased generalization. Rats, yes, fallacy of division. Recipe, so that's appeal to novelty. Interesting. You handed in your homework, but your handwriting's in terrible condition. Yeah, and honestly, in retrospect, if I had more time to, like, really analyze this, I probably could have gotten a clean sweep. One thing I don't like about this game is the fact it times you. I really do think that timing should be optional. I would prefer if there was something... Actually, you know what? Before I even... Let me shut up and let me go back over to freaking... Hold on. Back to main menu. Hold on. Start game. Custom. Timer. Yeah, there is a way we can just take out the time bonus. Yeah, there we go. Let's do 5 rounds. How many questions can I put in per round? How many questions? Oh my god, I could just keep going. How many questions? Hold on, how much does this go? 99 questions. Okay. Alright, so that's fascinating. Hold on. Well, how much is... Let's break out the calculator. I want to see how many questions we're about to do. Because I am totally down for this. Hold on. 5 times 99. 495 questions. Oh my god. Okay. Alright. Should we do 99 questions? Sadly, I will try to sleep, but I still want to participate in our discussion. And you can absolutely do so in the new Discord that will eventually come out, and also in the VOD. And please do catch some rest. Please do catch some rest there. It's good to have you here, as always. Should I really do 99 questions for 5 rounds? Fuck it, let's do it. Let's do it. Round 1, here we go. Ready? Oh, I'm so ready, man. No one's ever traveled through time, so I find it hard to believe that it could be possible, but I can't conclude anything. Valid. 1 out of 99. Hell yeah, baby. We're about to waste so much time with this. Sometimes a pencil lid may snap. In that case, you just have to sharpen it. However, if you'd rather not deal with sharpening pencils, you can use a mechanical pencil, but they're distinct tools. I mean, that seems valid. Yes, true. Okay. Music's beauty isn't accessible to it. eye-dots. eye-dots? Developer. Come on, man. eye-dots? I think an eye-dot wrote this sentence. I'm so sorry. Music's beauty isn't accessible to eye-dots because to be able to appreciate music, it's necessary to be intelligent. Circular reasoning? No. No. Slippery slope? I know this is like fallacious, but I'm not exactly sure which of these 3 it would do. Slippery slope. I don't believe it would actually be slippery slope because of the fact that it's not applying that, since, you know, it's not saying something along the lines of saying, oh, if this one person or demographic likes this, then the whole medium is going to be destroyed. So I don't think it's slippery slope. I don't think it's circular reasoning. Want to say Bailey? No, it is circular. What is circular? How is this circular reasoning? Let's learn. Let's take a look at this. Circular argument is just a circular argument. It's as simple as that. And just stupid. But that doesn't necessarily... Music beauty isn't accessible by idiots. Oh. They're saying because, you know, idiots can't say... It's circular because it's saying idiots can't access music because the only way to appreciate music is to be intelligent. That doesn't actually explain, like, the first actual point here. So that's why it's circular. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Let's see what we got. The Earth is flat. Yeah. Ah, you bastards, you out 2 fallacies into one statement? Yeah. The Earth is flat, and I won't accept any argument that contradicts this because it's part of a conspiracy. All these arguments are fabricated from scratch. I mean, it's not even a question. This is just a statement. It's definitely not novelty. Because if, like, based upon what I saw from the glossary definition of novelty, it's based upon, like, the newness of it. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's loaded? Appeal to consequences? How's this? Your interlocutor believes in something. They would choose their positions so that none of the consequences of these would be contradict what they believe in. I believe that the Earth is flat. If these images were real, it would mean that the Earth is round, so these images must be fake. Oh. I don't see how that's, like... appeal to consequences? Would it be like a lack of consequences? Because they're... or just like appeal, like plausible deniability or something? Or... I don't understand like how this term applies to this particular example, or even the example listed in the glossary. I'm a little confused on that. In this case, you should ignore this argument and ask for some real basis to support their claim. If they persist, they probably aren't ready to question their unfounded beliefs. Oh. Isn't this similar to circular reasoning, though? I don't understand the difference between the two. Because this seems like this is like circular reasoning in some way. Like they're saying, oh, the Earth is flat. If these images were real, I mean, no, maybe it's not circular reasoning. It's just refusing to acknowledge facts. I think the terminology here is a little bit unoptimal. But I get what they're saying, yeah. Let's see what we got. You ever responded to my messages? Why are you upset? Jumping to conclusions. Yep. Yep, 100%. Been there, done that. This person never should work with their hands in their lives. Oh, I'm not sure why we should listen to them. About how we could listen to our working traditions. I'm not sure what genetic fallacy means. I'm not sure if it actually means like something in regards to actual genetics or something else. Like a metaphorical form of like quote-unquote genetics. I would say appeal to tradition. No, genetic fallacy. What is genetic fallacy? I never heard of this one either. In the face of theories, arguments, or facts, this one is about criticizing the origins or intentions of their sources rather than their substance. Oh, so that's where the genetic part comes in. Your interlocutor. What the fuck? How do you say this? How do you say interlocutor? What? How do you pronounce this? Interlocutor. A person who takes part in dialogue or conversation. Oh, interlocutor. I've never heard of that word in my entire life. Your interlocutor will, for example, reject a study because it comes from a particular institute without demonstrating in any way that the study itself is invalid. Oh. So they're saying, so it's basically saying like, oh, this is invalid because of the source, without actually addressing like the actual argument itself from said source of like. In this case, ask them to ignore the source and comment on the substance. If they do not want to, accuse them of finding excuses and running from the debate. In my opinion, I don't know if that's actually the best route. I'm not sure if like accusatory rhetoric or like accusatory strategy is necessarily the best way to get somebody to explain their position or to convince other people that your position is strong or that their position is weak. I don't know if that's actually the best route for that. I would disagree with that. But I would love to hear some reasoning, other explanations as to like why that is like an appropriate approach. People who use a body scale tend to lose more weight than others. It's crazy how just stepping on a body scale leads to weight loss. That's correlation, causation, confusion. Yeah. Correlation does not equate to causation. Let's see what this has to say. When two things evolve in the same way, meaning they are correlated, it can seem like one of them causes the other, but correlation isn't enough to deduce causality. If two cars are traveling at the same speed, it doesn't mean that one of them is towing the other. You can be led to believe in a non-existent casual relationships just by showing your correlations, so be careful and never hesitate to bust out a correlation doesn't imply causation. I actually, the reason why I'm actually familiar with this is because I watched a few videos by a very prominent YouTuber called Dr. Mike, and he frequently has to state this very line so many times. Let's see what we got. Okay, but it was counted self-appealed authority. Yep, I think we've gotten this one before, haven't we? Oh, I don't think we have. No, this is different. Like the great Bernard J. D. Silva said, I have reservations about quoting academics to support my arguments. I see what you did there, developer. You're cheeky with that. Citing or mentioning people, no matter how famous or intelligent they are, does not make an argument valid. Beware of quotes or famous names that people throw at you, ignore them as much as possible, and focus on the merits of what's being actually said. Who said it or who agrees does not matter. Tell me why this is true. I see. Here's a question I would have for the developer. How would you avoid falling into the appeal of authority when trying to back up your sources or back up your argument with like factual statements or like studies and stuff like that? I've always found that interesting. How would you avoid that? Well, I guess like, going back to what they were saying earlier, you would actually take it on like what's being said. Yeah, that's right. While turning down their plate of spinach. I think an iDot wrote this. Eating more fruit and vegetables won't make us immortal anyway. Perfect solution fallacy. This is a new one. I'm gonna check this out. What do we have here? Your interlocutor will explain that the solution you're proposing is not a perfect one, which is quite easy to do, as a perfect solution doesn't exist. That is also true. They will then tell you that since your solution isn't perfect, it should not be implemented. You can respond by pointing out the advantages of your solution and then asking if they have a better one. If they don't, point out that they are opposing any improvements. Ooh. That's very interesting. I've never thought of it that way. Very interesting. I'll keep that in mind. Let's see what we got. Trust me, it hasn't rained for 3 days. We should prepare for a picnic tomorrow. Moving the goalpost? No. Biased generalization? Yes. No? Oh, hot hand fallacy. How so? The hot hand fallacy is the opposite of the gambler's fallacy. I don't know what that is. I love the gambling. Anything to do with gambling, please. Is believing that after winning a hand of poker, you have a better chance of winning again. Many people make this mistake, and your interlocutor may exploit this by mentioning past events that all have the same outcome. Claim this outcome repeating would be more likely. So it's like the appeal to probability or something like that. Here you could explain that in random experiments, outcomes are independent. Fascinating. We got 89 more to go. Well, technically 88 now. There's unemployment in youth because young people just don't want... Oh, I remember this question if I don't remember. Anecdotal evidence, circular reasoning, appeal to motive. Oh no, I know it's fallacious, so it's not valid. But how it's fallacious is questionable. Circular reasoning, no, 100%. Appeal to motive? No. Anecdotal? Appeal to motive? How is appeal to motive? Your counterpart will pretend you have specific intention without proving it if you truly had that intention. Notice? Because young people don't have it. Oh, so Okay, so here's a little bit of a criticism I have for the developer. The way that this, at least this particular part of the glossary, is written, with an emphasis on your, you, makes it seem like the thing that's going on is like the thing is like related to me instead of like the actual group. I think some clarification would help there. But hey, what do I know? What do we have here? What we got? I climbed to the top of this mountain all by myself. You can do it too. It was great. The guides were very nice with me. Well, how would this be a lie? We don't know if they're actually lying or not. We don't have enough evidence to decipher that. Destroying the exception? Lie? How would we know if it's a lie? We don't know that. We don't know if... They're just not telling you the truth. Well, how will we know if this is the truth or not? We weren't there. I wasn't there. What? If someone voluntarily decides not to share a piece of information with you that could have an impact on the course of things, that is also a lie. Even if they... Oh yes, this part of the glossary isn't the true that this is a lie, but this is a very bad example of it. Like, there is not enough information for you to discern that this is in fact a lie. The only way you would have been able to correctly solve that would be process of elimination. And again, you would still have you would still need to have more than enough contextual information about the other options present in order to make that conclusion. So that's very bad example. What do you mean it's too late to turn the music up? Basically, you're saying we should lower the volume. Let me see here. Correlation, causation, false dilemma. Valid. What? Oh, no, actually, wait, that does make sense. You got a bad grade of your test. Can you tell me why you didn't study at all? Appeal despite, middle ground, loaded question. Yeah, it's loaded because of the fact that it inherently assumes that just because I got a bad grade on the test means that I didn't study. It's not taking into account any other possible factors like something distracting me. It doesn't take into account that I could just had like a very bad day or maybe like you know, my brain functions may be impaired in some manner. Someone asks you a question that causes a problematic implication. Exactly. If you respond, regardless of your answer, you're implicitly validating the problematic implication. People listening could think if they answered, that means that they thought the question was valid. As soon as you spot this type of question, do not answer. You have to highlight the problematic implication and refute it immediately. Be prepared, the person might try to defend themselves by saying that didn't make any claims since it was just a question. Well, how would you refute that then? I would love to get some answers on that. Also, Pebbles is on my lap right now. Hi, Pebbles. Hi, baby. You're staring at me because you know you want bedtime. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Oh my goodness. Most people get less sleep than what's recommended. You could stay a bit longer with us than tonight. Appeal to common practice? Yay! Let's check this out. Let's see. This person is appealing to something that most people do to convince you to do the same, given the tendency to give into what is most common and the tendency to conform to societal norms. This argument may seem reasonable. You can retort just because everyone does it doesn't mean it's normal to do so, or acceptable to do so. If the person persists, you can follow with a counterexample. Some time ago, it was common practice to own slaves, which... That's a fucking jump! Hold on. Okay, at a party, most people get less sleep than what's recommended. You can stay with us a bit longer tonight, and then you just immediately hear afterward, some time ago it was okay to own slaves. Would you have used the same argument then? That's a little bit of a jump. I don't think they're like being mean or like malicious with this, you know, general statement over here, but okay. Maybe use a little less extreme example. You ever join us for lunch? We were wondering if you wanted to come with us this time around. Well, that's valid. Yeah, there's something wrong with that. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that at all. This movie is going to be a hit. It's okay if you're not paid up front. Oh my god. Ugh. From an ethical standpoint, this is not okay. From a logical standpoint, I don't think it's appeal to spite. Because there's nothing spiteful going on here. I don't think it's the fallacy. even though I don't know what the fallacy is. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with wishful thinking, because this particular last line, it's okay if you're not paid up front, you'll get paid in royalties. It's implying that it's okay if you don't get immediate payment, because you'll probably or definitely get royalties, but that's not a guarantee. In order to get royalties, you have to actually have this movie be a hit, and there's no guarantee that this movie will actually be a hit. So this is gonna be wishful thinking. Bingo. Let's check the definition. I want to see what this game has to say about that. Your interlocutor asserts something that only because they want to believe in it. You can tell them that you understand what they believe, and explain that just because they want to believe, that doesn't make it true. If they aren't willing to listen to you, then they aren't ready to question their unfounded beliefs. Is it just better to leave that conversation then? I would assume so. Let's see what we got next. We've already lost 5. No! It's not a fallacy game. It's not a fallacy. I can make it back. I'm gonna win this time. It's valid. Fuck you. It's valid. It's valid. It's valid. I swear. It's valid. The Gamester fallacy is the belief that after having gotten heads, you're more likely to get tails, which is false. Many people make this mistake. It's not a mistake. It's a tactical decision. And someone may exploit this by mentioning past events that all had the same outcome to make it seem less. Shut up. 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 I can make it back. Oh god. More people prefer apples to oranges, so apples are appeal to popular belief. Bingo. Let's check the definition, because this will be a new one in the glossary. Oh my god, Pebbles, you're pitiful. Oh my goodness, baby. She is on her side of my lap right now, and her head is nestled between my hip and my armchair. She is purring like a mad woman right now. I wish the microphone could pick this up, but it unfortunately has not. It can't. You all shall not be privy to Pebbles' purrs. I know, it's unfortunate. It's so sad. It's so sad. How could this ever happen? Oh, my baby. What if I just said pet Pebbles for the entire stream? What if I just do that? What do you think, baby? What do you think? You would like that, wouldn't you? You're being told that the majority of opinion goes against yours. Whether true or not, this is to prove that you are incorrect whatsoever. This is an attempt to exploit our bias toward the majority and to make you feel peer pressured into abandoning your positions. Don't give in. You can bring up cases in which people believe things we know to be false today, point out faulty logic. Most people thought the earth was flat, which you have defended that then. Very nice. By reading comics books, I might learn some stuff. Valid. Nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see here. I was writing down... Oh my god, holy essay. I was writing down a piece of crucial information when I heard a noise. My pencil lead had completely broken off. Looked at the tip, and there wasn't any usable graphite left. I rubbed it against the paper, but that only made things worse. The wood from the pencil began to fray and tear my note apart. If you don't want to suffer the same fate, I recommend using a mechanical pencil. I'm going to go with misleading vividness. Yeah, I was a little bit dramatic there. Like, holy yapperino. I have an uncle who is 83 years old, and he's been smoking since he was 17. However, this just one isolated incident, isolated example that doesn't allow us to draw. Yes, that's valid, actually. Completely valid. Oh my goodness, Pebbles, you're killing me. No, don't tear off my headphones, please. Me not voting, oh wait, fallacy of division, field of flattery, hot hand fallacy. Ooh. Well, I know this is fallacious, but I don't know. It's not flattery because you're not trying to flatter anyone. Hot hand fallacy? Valid. Oh. Oh, no, it was different. I remember now. If we let them build this skate park, our neighborhood will change. Let's lay down the pros and cons and decide whether or not should we... yeah, that's valid, yeah. Just proposing that we actually, you know, weigh the pros and cons and have, like, a reasonable discussion. Yeah, that's very fine. Fine and dandy. Look at these two curves on this chart. They are almost identical, so one must imply the other correlation causation. Nope, not gonna happen. You're not gonna trick me, game. I'm no fool. Let's see. Whether I'm good looking or not, it's not impossible for me to find a partner. Valid. You go, King. You can find a partner. You can find a loved one. You can get that Riz. People who think we should. Let's see. Hold on. Appeal to spite. Appeal to spite? Yeah. How would this be appeal to spite? I know it's fallacious, but how is it appeal to spite? The interlocutor will try to attack you personally by mentioning things that can harm your reputation, such as insults, for example. The goal is either to get the audience to turn their back on you before they even consider whether you're right or not, or to escalate the exchange. Oh yeah, I've seen this before. Yeah, it's saying like, oh, you're an idiot for believing this thing. It's like, why is that? Wait, how would you refute it? Hold on, let me read that part. This guy complicating the handle. Stooping to their level by responding is supposed to be avoided. Try to ignore these comments. Yeah, just ignore it. Actually, would questioning them on why they believe we're an idiot or believing that stance or taking that stance be valid? Would it? I don't think it. I think that would be, in some cases, acceptable. I think, like, asking, just not even, like, necessarily ignoring it. I think asking them about it to clarify why they think I'm an idiot for believing that would actually be a better move, I would argue. Never do what he promised, because he has his true hidden intentions aren't those. Appeal to pity, jumping to conclusions, appeal to motive? Yeah, you don't know their actual motives here. Okay, what we got now? In court, after an airplane crash due to a technical malfunction, here are the facts. The subject was the one flying the plane. In the end, 50 people died in the crash. That is cherry-picking evidence, because of the fact that you're trying to, it's kind of like correlation causation, where it's saying like, oh, this happened because of this, instead of taking into account other factors. The phrase cherry picking comes from selecting the best fruits from the bowl. Similarly, for fallacious rhetoric, a person engages in cherry picking when they select facts and arguments that go along with their viewpoint, but ignore those that might contradict it. One thing I don't like about this game is that in this particular example, you know, we can't conclude one way or the other logically here because we don't have enough information in terms of like whether or not the person here is actually cherry picking or not. We just have to assume that they're cherry picking. Like, I would definitely love to see like an expansion in this game where it actually gives out more detailed scenarios where you have to like point out like, oh, fallacy here, this is valid, fallacy here, this is why, etc., etc. Like, I would have loved to see that. And I think that's, there you go, would have been much more educational, in my humble opinion. But hey, what do I know? I just spent $15 on this game. Alright, let's go. To the next one! We've never before put diced tomatoes in guacamole, therefore we shouldn't do it now. Appeal to tradition. Yeah, no, you're not actually doing anything. We put tomatoes in guacamole before. Doctors treat their patients and take care of them, so you don't need to doubt this doctor for your treatment. False equivalency? No? Destroying the exception. Hold on, what does this have to say? Consists of taking a general rule or statistics and applying it systematically. I see, I should have seen that coming. I should have seen that one coming. Alright, what we got? I don't think we should let 16-year-olds vote. Soon they'll be slippery slope. I'm getting better at this. I'm actually getting better, just like boom, boom, boom. I'm a professional. I'll never get anything wrong ever. You don't want any cake? Okay, fine, I won't give you anything. Valid. See, exactly. I told you I would never get anything wrong. Yes, he did mess up your haircut, but hairdressers do sometimes fail in a haircut. That's valid. Yeah, valid. Appeal to common practice. What? Hold on, what? This person is appealing to something that most people do to convince you to do the same. Did I read this wrong? But hairdressers do sometimes fail. What? Given the tendency to give in to what is most common and the tendency to conform to societal norms, just because everyone does it doesn't... I don't know if this is exactly the best example of this. I would disagree with that. I would disagree immensely. God, it's been like 20 minutes. We're only pushing 35 out of 99 out of 5 rounds. I don't think I'm gonna be going through all 5 rounds, chat. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna keep it 100%. I don't think that's gonna happen, actually. Most people online have criticized his last work, but those criticisms are just comments on the internet and not worth considering. This is fallacious. Genetic fallacy? Yes, because it's automatically assuming that the people originating, that argument are inherently, bad or something like that, not actually considering what they're saying. If raw materials increase in price, then the product's price must also go up. A slice of cake that used to cost $2 is now $5. The cost of those raw materials must have skyrocketed. Confirming the consequence? What is this? This is new. What is this? We have a cause that is known to imply a consequence. I missed my bus, so I'm late. But if you don't pay attention, you could be made to believe that the cause happened just by mentioning the consequence? Even though this isn't necessarily the case. If he misses the bus, then he's late. If he is late here, therefore he missed the bus. Oh. This is one of the possibilities, yes, but you cannot just deduce that. Asking, but there are other explanations for this, no, can help. Interesting. I feel like affirming, going down the route. How would you, for this last part, asking, but there can be other explanations for this, no. How do you do so in a way that, doesn't necessarily make people hate your guts and, refuse to listen to you? Especially if, it's the person in question. That would be what I'm interested about. Let's see, what else do we have here? This party was a total failure. The people who've been there must have been idiots. I'm gonna go with... it's definitely not appeal to flattery. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that no flattery was intended with this statement. Division? Yeah. What's this definition again? Let's see. Just because the whole thing does. Oh, why am I so tired? Why am I so eepy? I know that guy, he's a jerk, so what he says is false. Shifting the burden of proof? Deal with the spite? Yes. Because just because you hate someone doesn't mean that nothing that they ever say can be correct or logical. If I play the lottery my whole life, I will win one day for sure. Listen, man, I don't like this developer calling me out like this, okay? I don't like that at all. Alright? It is completely valid, 100%. It's valid. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Get this out of my face. Get this out of my face. I don't need to hear it. Don't need to hear it at all. Nope. Nope. Don't need to hear it. It's completely valid. Rats are mortal, and I am mortal. Therefore, I am a rat. False equivalency. Yeah, that just... I feel like that... I feel like I don't need to explain that one that much. They said there was a high chance of rain today. So if you don't take your umbrella, you could end up wet. I still think this is a bad example. Appeal to fear? I thought it said it was invalid earlier. Did I misread it? I was telling that housing all the homeless people will be at the expense of taxpayers, but you convinced me that it might end up being a positive for everyone. However, you didn't prove to me it would be the most profitable thing to do. Moving the goalpost, because this person initially said, oh, hey, I originally said this. You proved that, but now I'm refusing to adopt your approach or acknowledge your argument because now I think that it's this. So it's moving the goalpost. Yep, let's check the definition of that, because I think this is the first one we've got in the glossary for that. We're still missing a few. Your interlocutor sees the debate as a match or a game, and to not feel like they've lost. They're willing to change the rules of the game. They could be changing the subject of the debate, the details of the disagreement, the level of evidence they're asking, rewriting what they previously said, etc. This is extremely annoying to the door. Oh brother, trust me, I am very intimately aware. But you must get used to it and try to keep track of things. Don't hesitate to reframe and debate often, restate the subject, the evidence that you have already brought up, etc. It's always good to have note cards for those things. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, yeah. Criminals usually hide their activity. This person wants to keep their conversation secret, therefore they must be false equivalency. Just because they want their privacy does not inherently mean that they want privacy for said, like, malicious or criminal purposes. Being absent for 0 days guarantees an end-of-year bonus. He did have 1 day absent, he shouldn't have gotten the bonus. It needs to be taken back. 0 days 0 day guarantees. Doesn't need to be taken back, though. That's interesting. What? Fallacy of composition. Denying the antidote. Hot hand fallacy. Is this even valid or not? Being absent for 0 days guarantees an end-of-year bonus. He did have 1 day nepotism / day. Yeah, for real. He did have 1 day absent. He shouldn't have gotten the bonus. It needs to be taken back. That last part doesn't really have any relevancy to the point actually here. So I'm going to say disregarding that just to keep the 2 sentences here. Shouldn't have gotten the bonus. I don't see how this is about anything about anecdotals because there's no actual anecdotes being provided. It's just, you know, it's not saying, oh, he shouldn't get, he should not have, like, this bonus because of X, Y, Z in, like, this situation here. Hot hand fallacy? I feel like it's either fallacy of composition or hot hand fallacy. I don't see how it would be fallacy of composition, though, nor hot hand fallacy. Because here's the thing, here's the problem with this. Being absent for 0 day guarantees an end-of-year bonus. He did not, oh wait, hold on. Guarantees an end-of-the-year bonus. Just because there was a guarantee that if you miss no days, then you get an end-of-year bonus, doesn't mean you cannot get an end-of-the-year bonus even if you were absent. He could have gotten it for other reasons. Fallacy of composition. What? Denying the antidote? Oh, I thought it said antidote. So, for context, my phone is covering up the bottom center of the screen that I use for tracking for my model, so I didn't see that. I thought it said antidote. In the phrase, when the train has an issue, there's delay. The train has an issue is the instant. A delay is the consequence. Fallacious verses can be derived. When the train doesn't have an issue, there is no delay. This is false. We're denying all the other reasons that there could be a delay. Oh. So I was right in, like, my statements about, like, why it was fallacious. I just chose the wrong option. Okay. Gotcha. I see. Good to know. Yes, he got it through nepotism. Yeah, for real. He got it through nepotism. He's the trust fund, baby. 100%. That's not fallacious logic at all. Those glasses were offered for an extra $1 on top of your other glasses, so they must be really bad quality. Appeal to money? Appeal to consequences? No, appeal to money. Oh, it's assuming that because it's cheap, it's bad. Yeah, let's check this out, because this is a new one in the glossary. Let's see what it has to say. We often confuse the price of a product or service with its quality. Some people exploit this mistake to make it seem like a product or service of higher quality, just based on the higher price. Better to base our judgment on actual proof of quality. Yes, that is 100% true. This is something that I feel like everyone should keep in mind. There's unemployment, so young people have more difficulty finding jobs. Feeling pity? No. Moving goalposts? No. Flattery? Valid? Yeah, it's valid. You suggest that people should opt for trains over planes due to ecological concerns, but maybe it's just because you're afraid to get into a plane. No, that's appeal to motive. You're assuming that I'm actually saying something because of a different reason than what I'm actually saying.
Beautiful people easily find partners, but I'm not beautiful, so I have a hard time. That's fallacious, but how so? It's not ridicule. Unless it's ridicule myself. No, I don't think it's ridicule. Hot hand, no. Antecedents? Yeah, there we go. Now that I know what that is, I can select it correctly. Look, the first 3 results of my search confirm that that is 100% the VTuber journalism part of this community. The first 2 things said that reaffirmed my belief. Therefore, I am 100% correct on this. And if you criticize me, you're wrong. That's cherry picking. Thank you. All right, let's go. Lock in. You don't want any cake? Everybody loves chocolate, though. People don't probably believe.
What? That's insanity. You don't like chocolate?
You must hate me. I'm not going to listen to what you say about the environment, knowing that you work for a multinational nuclear power company. Genetic fallacy, because you're assuming that just because I work for a nuclear power company means that I have, like, different intentions from what I'm saying. I don't know, see how this team could lose. Loose. Developer. I feel like their English was not their first language. Hey, developer, if you're watching this for some reason and you need a proofreader, feel free to hit me up. I'll do it for free. Like, legit. Because I like this game, and I would not mind it at all. They won all their matches until now. Appeal to consequences, hot hand fallacy, appeal to money. Oh, how's this fallacious? Fallacious, even my worst and ugliest enemies got the huzz. Let's see here. Hot hand. I need to familiarize myself with the hot hand fallacy. It's not appeal to money, because there's no money associated with this equation whatsoever. Let's see. Go to consequences? Hot hand fallacy. Okay, let's reread this, because I forgot. Hot hand fallacy is the opposite of the gambler's fallacy. Okay, it's believing that after winning a hand of poker, you may have a better chance of winning again. Oh. Let's see, many people make this mistake, and your interlocutor may exploit this by mentioning past events. Yeah. Okay, now I remember. I should have remembered that by saying, like, oh, they're on fire, we can't stop now. All the great movie critics love this movie, so it's weird that you don't like it. Appeal to authority? Even though critics, I would argue, are not necessarily a quote-unquote authority. We often make a big fuss about boat pollution, but sailboats, for example, don't consume any fuel at all. You can't get any greener than that, so let's stop criticizing boats unnecessarily. 2 wrongs make a right? Cherry picking. Okay. Oh yeah, because I should have seen that through, because the person was saying, hey, just because my solution has this one good thing doesn't mean that we should take into account the bad things that are possibly happening. That is 100% cherry picking. I should have seen that through. Look, if you've been doing this for 2 generations, we should keep doing this way. That is appeal to tradition. That's an easy one. That is a very simple one, in my humble opinion. To lose weight, you have to either reduce the amount you eat or space out your meals. What will you do? Cut back or spread it out? False dilemma. I don't have to do one or the other. I can do both, or I can do more than that. If I had been nice to her, she would have refused to become my... Oh my god, there's an actual nice guy shit in here. Oh my lord, let's read this out.
If I hadn't been nice to her, she would have refused to become my girlfriend. I've been kind to her the whole year, so she will not turn me down if I ask her.
Wishful thinking. No, come on, no, dude. Dude, no, that's wishful thinking right there. You cannot sell me that is not wishful thinking. Come on, that's silly, come on. Let's see. Children don't always have a taste for vegetables, and there's no harm in not serving any to make your kids happy. The person who is taking care of their children as well as you did should be able to confirm this. Flattery. Nice try, but I'm not that easily fooled. I'm really interested in buying this item for you. For the prices. Oh, that's valid. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yeah, okay. I remember. Let's see. You have bad grades in physics. We should not work on this subject. Appeal to probability? No, I would disagree with that. Just because I got a bad grade in one subject doesn't mean they should stop pursuing that. I disagree with that at all. Because like there was a very similar example. I don't recall the specifics of it, but there was a similar example earlier in this where it said that, you know, just because they got a bad grade on something doesn't mean that they are unfamiliar or that they are unengaged or uninterested or not invested in the topic at all. That's a terrible example. It's true, Khan did say that. The question is, yes, valid. I remember that from earlier. I feel like we're getting a lot of repeats. Yeah, unfortunately. Yes, your father was hard on you when you were young, but he is old now. You can't criticize. Appeal to ignorance. Pity? Oh, pity, yeah. I should have... I tried to answer that too quickly. A person may try to obtain your compassion by presenting reasons for feeling pity. The person isn't giving you substantive arguments. They are trying to get you to believe that you shouldn't oppose something that deserves your pity. Politely pointing out that you are well aware of the reasons why you should have pity, and pointing out why this doesn't change the substance of your argument can help you or the discussion get back on track. That is completely fair. Though I feel like in that specific case right there, it's better just to leave, because it's like people who typically argue that come from the point of like, oh, like I understand like why you feel this way, but I still think that you should feel pity for this person. You should still do that. Like that happens all the time with my grandparents. I see that happen all the time with my friends and stuff like that. And even though I know that doesn't mean that everyone will face that, I think generally, if we're talking about like what's the appropriate action for people to protect their peace, I think withdrawing from that conversation if somebody keeps repeating that sort of stuff, especially if it's like circular, is probably best. What do you have here? You're selling this for $10, but I wasn't willing to buy it at all. Let's split the difference. How about 5? Middle ground? Man, I want to try to get that one for my next model. You know what? You're charging me $2 grand for this VTuber model, but I don't want to pay that. How about we split the difference? How about you pay me $1,000 to make my model, and I'll pay you $1,000 to get my model? Yeah, man, that's great. Really good logic there. Hold on. Let's read this. Let's read this together. This consists of treating two positions as if they were completely equal. Then taking a position that seems to be the middle ground between those two positions. Your interlocutor will try to prevent this new position, which they will try to present as reasonable. However, for example, someone wants equality between all humans, and someone else wants to take away rights from a minority. The so-called middle ground is far from being reasonable. LMAO Warhile, yeah. Showing the absurdity of this logic as an example works very well. Yeah, that is a very relevant topic in today's world. Very relevant. The middle ground fallacy. Keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Just because we've never done it doesn't mean it's impossible. Valid. I recall that earlier because I'm sword. You prefer bananas. I prefer carrots. We can have our own preferences, so that's okay. That's valid. I remember getting that wrong earlier, and I got it right now. I'm improving! Let's see. My friend didn't steal that. If they were the cause, if that were the case, he would be a thief. But he's a good person. This is just a lie. No? Appeal to consequences? How does this appeal to consequences? Believes in something that would choose her positions. Oh, okay. They believe, yeah, they would choose their positions so that none of the consequences of these would contradict what they believe in. Okay. Got it. Maybe next time when people try to defend their Oshi for doing something incredibly terrible, they should read that. Humans are mortal, and I'm human. Therefore, I'm immortal. I actually don't remember this. Valid? Okay. Most people get less sleep than what's recommended. I'm impressed. Appeal to flattery. Oh, damn it! I should have read through the whole thing. I automatically assumed it was trying to flatter me. I thought it was automatically trying to riz me. I know it's healthy, but I don't like it. I mean, that's valid. Yeah, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I mean, can't really argue against that. Can't, like, disagree with your taste buds. There's no artificial ingredients in it. That's why it's good. Appeal to nature. I don't think this is a new one. Let's read that. The reason why it's fallacious is because, like, just because it's, like, all organic just means inherently better. This one consists in using the idea that something has more value if it's natural, less value that it's artificial. This is false. To prove this, all you need is to cite countering symbols such as cyanide can also be found in nature, or insulin, which saves diabetics every day, is artificially produced. This may encourage your interlocutor to give better arguments. Ooh, very good point. Very good point. Alright, let's see what we got here. You just use a fallacy in your argument, so you're wrong. Fallacy, yeah, fallacy. I see the definition of this, because I have like a vague idea of what this is, but I want something a bit more clear. It can be tempting to conclude that claim is false because the reasoning leading to it contains a fallacy, or even to say there's a fallacy without saying which one, just because the claim seems false. Pointing out to someone that they're using a fallacy, you must clearly state which one and explain why you think this is the case. Keep in mind that the presence of a fallacy does not make a claim necessarily false. It just means that the reasoning is invalid. Oh. I don't like spaghetti and I get crucified for it. Leave me alone. Oops, stream buffering again. I'm so sorry, Coley. Interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see what we got. Even if I played the lottery my whole life, I'm not necessarily going to win. That is valid. I think I got everything in the glossary, if I'm not mistaken. My uncle died in a plane crash, so planes are far too dangerous, and we should stop using them altogether. Anecdotal evidence. Just because, so sorry for your uncle, but that doesn't mean that all planes are dangerous. You never joined us for lunch, so why are you upset with us? Jumping to conclusions. I swear I'm not upset at you. I'm just incredibly busy. I swear the reason I'm not collabing with you is not because I hate you. It's just I'm busy. I'm telling you that the highest mountain is Mount Blanc at 4,800 meters. What? Everest is 8,800? No. But if we're looking at the biggest mountain in Europe, it's definitely Mount. It's moving the goalpost. I was originally arguing for what was the tallest mountain in the world, but now I'm arguing about what's the tallest mountain in Europe. You've read a lot of books, but that doesn't necessarily mean what you say is correct. Valid. Just because you read a lot of books, or you know what's pissed me off? It's like that fucking I don't even remember what he did. It was that kid with like the long hair, the dude who just shouted like Bill Clinton on stage. I remember seeing like a video of him arguing with somebody, and they were like arguing back and forth. And he was like, "Give me the name of 10 books." I'm like, "What?" And it was like, "You can't name 10 books, therefore you're dumb." I'm like, okay, so if I name 10 books here, then I consider smart. Okay, so here's my 10 books. Dora the Explorer, Clifford the Big Red Dog, Clifford the Red Big Dog 2, Clifford the Big Red Dog 3, Clifford the Big Red Dog 4, Clifford the Big Red Dog 5. Like, it's just incredibly stupid. Playboy magazine, issue 58. I see what you mean. That's I see what you mean. That's exactly what an idiot would say. You know what? I think that's a great spot to end it off on. That's a great thing to end off on. This is completely valid logic, and you know what? I'm gonna click this, and it's gonna be 100% correct. And if it's not, then we're ending stream. Well, damn, that's crazy. Anyway, see you later, chat.